I don't get up in the morning being like, I'm sick as shit and I'm gonna unleash all these sick riffs on the people. Like I don't have that. I don't have that mentality. It's like more like I have an idea. I hope it's not horrible. Let's see what happens, and then just sort of like push it out there and brace for impact.
Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, John Barbas. And I've got a special episode of the podcast for you this week. It was my great pleasure to sit down and talk with Derrick from Dream Unending about their latest album. You might also know him from Tomb Mold. I was very excited to talk to him because I love Dream Unending. It was my 2021 Doom album of the year. So, of course, I was stoked, but I did not know what kind of person Derrick is. And after this interview was over, I was filled with warmth and happiness. I have never met anybody in all of my years in the metal community that was as happy and as positive and as giving as Derrick. He's one of those kind of people that you just feel better after having talked to him. I hope you get the same feeling that I did after listening. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Let's not delay anymore. Here's Derrick to talk about the new album from Dream Unending, Song of Salvation. Derrick, welcome to Heavy Metal Philosophy.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question is going to take me quite a bit to set up, so bear with me.
Sure, okay.
So Tide Turns Eternal was my 2021 Doom Metal album of the year.
All right.
And then this year, it's only been a year, and you already have another album, and that's on top of Tomb Mold released an EP.
Yeah.
And then your writing partner is in Innumerable Forms and Summerland, who also both released LPs.
Amazing records. Yeah.
And I shined a light on the Innumerable Forms just because of the name alone.
Yeah.
So 2 LPs, an EP from Tomb Mold, and then now a new LP from Dream Unending, only a year after your last one.
Yeah.
How did y'all do that?
I mean, I guess we just were so inspired after we finished recording Tide. We had a couple years to slowly work on that record, but it was sort of more of I think I started writing the record in late 2019, Tide Turns Eternal, but I took a long break from it. Like I kind of just sketched out a few songs and we started to sort of figure out, okay, this is what the band's going to be like. But then we kind of put it on hold while Justin was doing other stuff. I was doing other stuff. There was no rush for it because I thought that I was moving to Philadelphia. So that's where my wife was from. So it was sort of like, okay, we've got some song ideas. We'll hash them out when I move. And then I didn't move. So it was sort of like, oh, okay, we're going to make this record. We're just going to have to do it separately from each other. And Justin was down. I know that we were both nervous going into it because we'd never done any sort of remote recording of that magnitude. Demoing is one thing,
right?
But properly tracking a studio LP for to put out in the world is a little bit more intimidating, I guess. But other people do it, so it was like, well, why can't we? And then we did it, and then it was just we were so pumped on it, we were just so juiced from the experience and recording. And I was, when I record a record, it's sort of like the process leading up to it is sort of, I have all these different parts, riffs, solos, all kind of cataloged in my brain. You go and record, you lay it all out there, right? And then you have all this new real estate that opens up in your head. And then you're just like, well, I have to fill it with something, right? I'm always playing guitar and I'm always coming up with stuff. It's like, all right, I'm going to just see what happens. And I think within the first couple weeks after I finished recording all the guitars and stuff for Tide Turns, I had started writing the title track for Song of Salvation. So it came pretty quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I had was because Tide got such a great reception in the metal community.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
I thought maybe y'all saw that and we're like, oh, we got to do another one quick. Let's make hay while the sun's out.
Yeah, no, we were we're just going to do it no matter what. Even if it tanked, it was still oh, we're going to make another record anyways.
Before it even released, you were already working on this one. Wow.
And I think for us, the whole thing, and this is the same with Tomb Mold, it's the same with anything I do. at the end of the day, like we do it for us. You know what I mean? Like it's this artistic expression. You know, it's like this. We have something we want to say, so we use music to say it. And I think Justin and I just really enjoyed the process, and we like working with each other. So it was sort of like, even if no one is into it, we're just gonna keep making songs. Like we have to kind of do it because we loved it so much. You know what I mean? And you know, Justin I started writing Song of Salvation, he was just sort of like, you know, you do your thing. Like, I just trust you. Like, you don't need to worry about me. And I was like, okay. And like, I was able to just push everything a little further than I might have with Tide. I felt way more comfortable. I kind of knew what I was doing at this point. I kind of felt like I had a very slight grip on the genre, like writing within the genre, but I kind of don't even think about it. I don't think about like I'm writing a doom song. I'm like, I'm writing a song, and it's slow.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it seems like doom has less rules. Like with black metal, for instance, there's rules.
Oh yeah,
doom just has to be slow.
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like doom has way more freedom in sound and even in aesthetic at times. You know what I mean? Because you could line up like 6 doom bands beside each other, and none of them could look alike. You know what I mean? Right. And death metal, black metal, there's a lot of crossover, right?
Right.
But like doom, like you can have like a band that looks like Trouble or Electric Wizard, and then you can have like a band that looks like, you know, maybe more of a death doom band wearing leather jackets and all that. And then you can have like Skepticism, who all wear like shirts and ties. You know what I mean? And it's like you have the whole spectrum of stuff. And I guess because I feel like, and maybe this is because we don't play shows or anything, but you know, it feels like a band. So Dream Unending feels a little bit like the what's the expression? Like I'm a man without a country, so to speak. Like we're a band, but we don't really exist in any scene. Like we don't play shows. Like we don't live in the same city. So it's like we're just sort of like, it's more like an entity. Like it feels way more like Tomb Mold feels like this thing, like this like real thing, right? Because we've done so much and we see each other every week and whatnot. Whereas like, yeah, like Dream Unending is like more like a phantasm, like a spirit compared to that. So then but it feels like I have way more freedom because of that. You know what I mean? Which is cool. Like it's actually a really nice feeling. Just write whatever the hell I want and then see what happens. It's nice.
So you said earlier you have something to say, and that was one of the things that I wanted to ask about. So
yeah, sure.
The first record, you know, it's Tide Turns Eternal, and the artwork is blue, and you know the name of the band is Dream Unending, and your new record is also blue, and the guitar tone has this like real watery, like thick reverb. Is this like a thematic thing? You really want to?
A little. Like I think Tide Turns Eternal has, I mean, the title, like the album name kind of says it all, but also even in the sound, like it's less busy sounding than Song of Salvation. It has a little bit more like upfront modulation. Like there's more like in your face chorus effects and phaser and stuff like that. It's a little more, my bandmate Sumo says it's a little more wobbly. And he's right. And it's like, you know, because I think I was trying to make it sound, that was like my way of making it sound otherworldly for that record. Because it's, you know, it is supposed to be, it's kind of sound like you're like passing through a dream or something, you know, like it's supposed to be sort of hypnotic or at times like a little psychedelic, and the album art too. But the name, like the Tide Turns Eternal, is just about this whole thing of like life goes on, like life never stops and you should be always moving with it. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of us just are always in like some sort of standstill. And I think Dream Unending is sort of like a message to break out of that. So Song of Salvation was sort of like, all right, well, like life goes on, but like what now what? And it's like, well, we should find freedom and joy. And that's why the term comes from, right? Or that's where I got the title I thought about. But then, I went way more for the reverb and like delay. And it's a lot more like, I feel like it's funny. All the music, same guys writing it, same people engineering it, same people mixing it. But for some odd reason in my head, Song of Salvation sounds way more like professional. Like it's just glossier, and not in a bad way. Like I wanted it to sound I wanted it to sound bigger. I wanted it to sound stronger, but I didn't want to be like, okay, the way to do that is by like implementing like crazier riffs or something like that. It's like, no. I still want it to be like almost calm. Like it's intense at times, but
Right.
you're never like feeling assaulted by it. It's not
Right.
jarring. Like there's a couple like, there's a lot of tension that like, but it always builds to a release. You know what I mean? And I was chasing that. I think I wanted it to sound more heavenly, for lack of a better way of putting it. And like that's why like all the lush, like shimmering reverbs and whatnot, like they sound so good. And yeah, both the albums are blue. I feel like they both sound blue to me, but I feel like Song of Salvation is a lot more icy sounding.
Okay.
And that's why I like that the album art sort of reflects that. It's got like this like icy border, and you can even see it like there's like it's like this frozen landscape that's slowly melting away to show like new life and color and stuff. The things that like I always say, like you should look for like the color in life, and like that's sort of a reflection of that. And I think we kind of reference that even in some of maybe not the lyrical content, but some of the spoken stuff on the record kind of hints at that. But yeah, go ahead.
I definitely heard that where you talked about where the tension gets released, especially on the long songs.
Yeah, it's like tension release, tension release, tension release, hard stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting the way you put the philosophy of it. I had a guest on that totally changed the way that I was going to think about metal and this show. Like when I started this show, I wanted to do like philosophical analysis of different bands.
Right.
And I had this guest on. His name is David Burke. He's a PhD candidate in metal studies. And his thesis is that all metal, regardless of genre, and this includes like glam, I mean, everything is really just an exercise in existentialism, that we all know we're going to die. And the way that we handle that, so you say tide turns eternal is about, coming to grips with, hey, this is life, you got to do it. And then, finding the good in it. And that's what we do in metal. Is like, we're like, this is not like a money-making venture.
No, dude.
We are bashing our heads against the wall, and we know it.
Yeah. No, that's always tricky. I mean, I don't ever encounter like money talk with Dream Unending, but like, I mean, with Tumul, we definitely get like people are like, oh, that's just like, it's just a front to sell merch or something like that. And it's like, fuck no, dude. Like, I'm in so much debt because I buy gear to make records that try to sound good. Like, it's all like, and you go on tour and you can make money, and it's like, oh, cool. I'm going to pay off the debt that I have, and then I'm going to create new debt. Because it's like, I have all this credit card space now, and I have my eye on this guitar, this amp, this pedal, whatever, right? But it's always like, it's like this chase for like you want to, I chase gear to the same way I chase sounds to help my writing. You know what I mean? Or it's like, I have this idea, but I want it to be bigger and stuff. But I don't mean to get off track, but yeah, I don't.
No, that actually is perfectly on track, because you're building towards something.
Yeah.
And that's what metal is. It's like, we don't give in to the, oh, what's the point? Because we're all just going to die anyway. Like, no, we're going to keep fighting while we're alive.
You have
That's why we do this.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I didn't write music, like, I don't know what I would be doing with myself. It's actually funny. Like yesterday, I was sitting, this is a bit of a tangent, if you will, but it circles back to everything. I was sitting on the couch with my wife last night. We had gone to a Halloween party, and it was like a luau theme. So it's like, you can either dress up for Halloween or you can wear a Hawaiian shirt. So we wore like Hawaiian shirts. And we got home and we're talking about something to do about short sleeve button up shirts. Such a menial thing, like a throwaway thing. And I had said, oh yeah, I used to wear quite a few of those, not Hawaiian prints, but I used to wear button up shirts at this point in my life, like this like specific year, like 2015 or something, and going into 2016. And I thought about that, and then it just sort of, when you don't think about a period of your life for a while and then something kind of triggers it, and then you're just like, well, what else was going on at that point in my life? And I remember like that point in my life, this is like maybe 6 months before Tomb Mold becomes a band that, where like me and Max get together to write music, where I felt completely directionless. And I wasn't really playing in bands. I wasn't really writing any music. I didn't feel inspired. I didn't feel motivated. I didn't feel supported by like maybe the partner I had at the time and stuff like that. And I just remember thinking like, oh, maybe this is it. Like I only really had one guitar on me, and I was just like, oh, maybe I just won't be in bands anymore. Like maybe that phase of my life is over. And then Max, the drummer and vocalist of Tomb Mold, who we had played in bands before, but like we weren't doing anything, and he had a band, and he approached me to be like, we should start a death metal band. And I was like, sure. Like I don't know how to write death metal. I love it, but I've never tried to write it. I never really learned any death metal music. And he was like, well, let's just try, and like let's just do this thing. And I thought about it last night. I kind of got in a tunnel where I was like, if he doesn't ask me to do that, like all of these things that have happened in my life that have been like so rewarding and joyous, like they don't happen. You know what I mean? It's like this single thing. And for him, it was, you know, at the time it was nothing. It was like, oh, it'll be fun. We'll make a tape, we'll make 2 tapes, and then we'll just like pack it in. But it blossomed into something way more. And it like challenged me to write songs. I felt inspired, but also not fearful, but it was just like, I wanted to keep putting out music. It was like, we had a thing, and it was just like, well, how far can we chase it? And it was never about, can we make records to make money? It was like, how much music can we possibly make? Like, yeah, we have the idea, like, let's just go for it. You know what I mean? But if that doesn't happen, then like, I don't feel myself grow as a songwriter. I don't put out Manner of Infinite Forms, which like convinces Justin from Dream Unending that like I have a knack for songwriting. Like, you know what I mean? Like all these things are linked, and everything. Like I feel like half of my life, like I owe it to my bandmate from Tomb Mold, Max. I don't tell him this because like, how do I tell him?
Right.
But, and it's just such a crazy thing. But, and that's why life is such a wonderful experience. Like this great experiment we all take part in. And I feel like Dream Unending is like sort of like a celebration of that, like about self-discovery, realizing your self-worth, like coming to terms with whether it's like grief or sorrow or whatever, like just knowing that it exists and not running away from it, but realizing that like you can overcome it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's definitely the vibe I got, because there's a song on the new record, Unrequited.
Yeah.
And then the follow-up is the finale, which is just this big triumphant song.
Huge tune. Yeah.
So yeah. Was that the plan? Like, okay, so on Unrequited, like here's this feeling that I have to overcome.
Yeah,
and then
kind of. Yeah.
The finale is the overcoming.
Yeah, like I feel like the record is almost, it's like thirds or something. You have the title track, Song of Salvation, right? Which is like a big, massive opening tune with it goes a lot of places. This record almost feels more like almost like a progressive metal record to me than like a doom record, but it's slow. So progressive doom, I guess. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
But, and then I feel like there's 3 tracks in the middle: Secret Grief, Murmur of Voices, and Unrequited. And like I feel like those 3 is sort of the like heartbreaky section of the record, or as I call it, like the hotel lobby bar late night like section of the record. It's a little softer, it's a little bit more drawn out, almost has almost at times almost has like a ballad feel, and I really like that. And then, but I feel like it sets the table for Ecstatic Rain, which is just this huge track about so many things. But I feel like if people really key in on the spoken section and the clean singing that my friend McKenna did, it really delivers a message of like, like kind of finding yourself and sort of like waking up to a new day, or like a new dawn, or however you want to frame it, and just being like, okay, like it's cool, like I got this. You know what I mean? For lack of a better
Yeah.
way of putting it, without getting too eloquent about it. Like it's just like, yeah, no, like we got this. And Justin and I are really like in lockstep on that stuff. This is the way we look at the world, the way we feel about things. Like,
That's a
yeah,
huge blessing.
it is. Like we're very, very happy to have like kind of found each other. It's so funny because like we've been in, I've been watching him play in bands since like 2005, and we've been in these different venues or different rooms, whether it was in Toronto or Boston or Pennsylvania, middle of nowhere, or somewhere else. And we just didn't know each other till 2018 or something, 2017. And uh, yeah, I never thought I would do something like this, but it's like really cool. Like I just didn't know I had it in me, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
get up in the morning being like, I'm sick as shit and like I'm gonna unleash all these sick riffs on the people. Like I don't have that. I don't have that mentality. It's like more like I have an idea. I hope it's not horrible. Let's see what happens, and then just sort of like push it out there and like brace for impact.
Well,
And go ahead.
you said it was like a progressive record. I agree. So Grief almost has like a film noir sort of sound to it.
Absolutely. With
got
that with Layla's trumpet. Oh, it's so fucking good, dude. Oh, she just killed that shit.
I wonder, like you said you felt not confident. Did the what you accomplished with Tide Turns Eternal, did that give you the confidence to go?
It did. It did. Like it gave me confidence to tackle like those big songs, especially, and to think. I've always loved thinking about like the pacing of a record. I think the first time I ever took it really serious was when I was writing Manner of Infinite Forms for Tomb Mold. Because Primordial Malignity, the first Tomb Mold record, was sort of like, we thought we were just going to do like a second tape. And then the label Blood Harvest was like, I'll put an LP for you guys. And we're like, oh, okay. So like, we kind of just wrote it. It was like, here's a song idea. Here's a song idea. Here's a song idea. It's like, all right, put this there. Okay, cool. And I really love that record. It's such a charming record. And Max and I, it was just Max and I at the time. And we look back on it very fondly. But Manner of Infinite Forms was when I started thinking about like, all right, well, how do I want to set it up? Like, what do I want to go into the next song? How do I want side B to open? How do I want to close the record? And I always think about other records that I really love and like how they're paced, like based on the formatting and whatnot. So I think about that a lot. I thought about that with Song of Salvation in the sense that I wanted it to start huge and then get kind of more, kind of like bring it down in the middle, almost like an intermission of sorts. So I always look at Murmur of Voices and Secret Grief as like the intermission tracks. And then Ecstatic Rain is like your part two that just like really brings it home. So what was your question again? I completely forgot now.
No, you got it. The confidence, because
the confidence.
You did
the
so much
confidence.
more.
Yeah.
And in fact, that was another question. It was there's more guitar solos on this.
Yeah.
One.
So that was what I was going to get at. The confidence, I think just the fact that we were able to conquer making Tide, we were just like, like we got this, like we know what we're doing now. So it's just like writing the next record kind of came easy because it was sort of like, all right, I have a working knowledge of what I want to happen in these songs. And then it's like, well, what didn't I do on the first record? Okay, I want to do that here. And there was definitely at some point, maybe halfway through the writing process where I was like, I want to have an instrumental song, but like with drums and everything, and like sort of tell a little story within this like bigger story. That's how Unrequited came to be. But the thing that really built my confidence, I had a lot of time to just sit around and play while working on writing Song of Salvation, because I was living in this apartment alone while I was waiting for my wife's permanent residence to be approved. So it's kind of just living in this apartment with like next to nothing. I like pushed everything into my bedroom because it was the only room I had air conditioning in, and it was the summer and it was super hot. So I would just sit here and like play guitar, demo stuff, and watch Star Trek Next Generation while I did it. And then I would go to work, come home, keep doing it. It was great. I had so much fun. But at some point I kind of felt like I wanted to know if I really had a ceiling on my playing. So I started taking guitar lessons.
Mm.
I started taking guitar lessons with this guy. His name's Kevin Hoofnagel. You might know his band's Dysrhythmia. He plays in Gorguts.
Oh, okay.
He had this really cool kind of like doomy heavy metal band called Sabbath Assembly, and he's got a lot of solo work. And he's just such a good guitar player, but also how he approaches writing songs, I felt not a kinship with, but like a sort of common ground. I can't say kinship because he's like so much better than me, but um, like he writes his songs sound smart, mine sound funny. Like that's how I always think of it. But I had hit him up and I started taking lessons with him almost a year ago now, and almost like just like a month in, I realized it was like I have so much room I can grow as a player, as a writer, as everything. And it almost feels more like more than a teacher. He's like a mentor at this point. I really value our lessons and everything we work on. And he is always, really enthusiastic about the stuff that I write and put out. And he's like a big supporter. So it means a lot, but also, yeah, just doing that really built the confidence to write more interesting solos, I think, and stuff like that. So but that was just it. Like, it's just like, if I want my music to get better, I have to get better. And the only way I do that is if I push myself, and I can't do it on my own. It's like, I needed someone to challenge me, you know what I mean? And someone to show me like how to overcome these obstacles. So that was a big thing, and still is. Like, every week I have a lesson with him. Like, yeah, I'll be in there for a while. Yeah.
That's another blessing.
Yeah, it is. And but that's just it. Like, if you have something that you have a bit of a knack for, like, why wouldn't you want to just push it to its furthest possible point? You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like that's just it. Like, I love, like, I like to exercise. I'm not a freak about it. I'm never going to be like jack dude. I don't really care about lifting heavy, but like, I love the mentality of like professional bodybuilders, because they're just like, this is it. Like, this is my life. I'm dedicating all of my waking moments to this, and I want to be the best. Now, I don't want to be the best, but that mentality, that spirit, that's just like that dedication, like it's so inspiring.
Yeah,
And it's
not
just like,
it's not just their waking moments, it's also their sleeping moments. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
that's a huge part of it too.
Oh yeah.
So their entirety of their life is dedicated to it.
Yeah. It's like, you wake up, you eat like 400 grams of like gross oatmeal, you go lift, and then you sleep in a chair, and then you eat like 500 grams of jasmine rice, and like you cut up chicken breast with scissors, and it's just miserable. But like, that's it. Like, you have to suffer. Like, adversity is such a big thing. Like, I always feel like bands get comfortable. Maybe they get successful. Maybe they can live off their band. And then I feel like their music becomes a little less inspired. And I feel like adversity, or just pushing yourself, challenging yourself, or some sort of, like, all the best art comes from being somewhat unsatisfied with like what's around you, right? And like, so I always try to like channel that dissatisfaction or the adversity in my life and just put it into music. It's sort of like, it's escapism, you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
it's a really sacred thing, and I just love it. Like, I have a pretty easygoing life. Like, I live with my wife and my dog. I have a job that I don't hate. I don't make a lot of money, and that's okay. And I never have any, because it's going towards bills and gear. But like, I wouldn't trade it for anything, because then I just get to sit at my desk and I get to crank out songs and come up with stuff. And the fact that people are willing to like work with me on it is like ridiculous, and I can't trade that for anything. And it's like, I just want to make music, man. It's all I want to do.
Well, it definitely shows with all of the productivity. I mean, that is an extraordinary amount of output.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Like, I obviously, though, I haven't toured since pre-pandemic. So that frees a lot of time. Like, if you don't have to worry about touring and anything, like, you can just write. And it's fun to write. Like, it's fun to write on my own, but it's even more fun to write with Tumult, because we get to see the instant like gratification in each other. And that's why putting out that EP was so fun. It was just like a hey, like we still exist. And that was fun too, because I played guitar on it, but it also marked my return to playing bass in the band. And it was fun to play fretless bass on that tape and just see how it went. And yeah, that was like a big thing for us. Like we just wanted to put out something and not make a big deal about it. And then everybody made a big deal about it. And it was a really nice feeling, you know. Yeah. We're not people who just think like I don't mean to talk about Tomb Mold, but like we're not people who just sit around thinking that like anything we put out people will eat up. Like no, it's like we have to give them something that is hopefully good. And we don't, you know, if you're not playing shows or you're not putting out a record every year, like you just assume people stop paying attention to you. Music moves so fast, like because we have all of it at our fingertips now. You know, it's not like when you bought a CD for $28.99 because it was an import from the United States and you savored that CD forever. Like now it's just everything is there. And I don't mean to like, you know, really take a piss on it or anything.
No, that's the reality we live in.
It is. But at the same time, like what I never stopped to consider was that in the 2 years or however long we were dormant, that was 2 years for people to discover Tomb Mold. You know what I mean? And then you just don't think about that. You just assume that it's like, oh no, like we cease to exist in people's minds. So it was like an interesting experience. It was eye-opening for us, but like it's not something we take for granted. Like we were like, every time we like put out a new batch of tapes and people bought them and like wildfire, we were just like, holy crap, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like you have to appreciate it at every turn. So
well, unfortunately, I don't have the professional version of Zoom, so it's telling me that I only have 10 minutes left.
Oh, damn. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. You know, normally I like to keep these about 30 minutes, but I feel like I could just talk to you forever.
Oh, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy to talk, man. I know I ramble, so.
I want to get this in here before we run out of time, because this is something that I've said to my audience before in an older episode. And what you said really reminded me of that. When you said that Max came up to you and was like, hey, let's do a death metal record. And you were like, you didn't know it was going to become, you know,
no fucking clue. Yeah.
And I always say to people, you know, say yes to things. Like you don't know what could happen. And now not only are you in Tomb Mold, but also, you know, you've got, obviously Tide Turns Eternal was well received, and I think the new record is going to be right there with it, well received, because it's, if you like the first one, this is that plus just a little extra, you know, horns, spoken word, like there's a female guest spot.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a nice logical improvement on the first record. It's a next logical step. I think if you like that one, you'll like this one. But yeah, like you should say yes to everything. Like and the only reason Dream Unending exists is because I emailed Justin, my bandmate, to be like, hey, congrats on the Innumerable Forms record when Punishment and Flesh came out. Because it's like, I remember seeing you guys so long ago. It's nice to see you guys are still doing something and like making it, like putting out a record finally. And then, you know, the ball just rolled from there. We just talked and it was just like, oh, we like some of the same stuff. We should do a band. And that's just it. Like, you know, you can email us, thedreamisunending@gmail.com, and we always respond. And we're just happy to chat with anyone. I email bands all the time. Sometimes I don't hear back. Doesn't matter. You have to do it.
So not just say yes to things, but also shoot your shot, huh?
You got to shoot your shot. Like, if you don't shoot your shot, like you're not going to get anywhere. Like no matter what it is, like you have, like we're all going to fail. We're all going to crash and burn. Like we're all going to like approach the guy or gal or whatever, and it's not going to go your way, but like you don't know unless you try. You know what I mean? Like, and
you're not going to get good at trying until you've got practice at trying.
Exactly. Like you have to. That's just it. Like everything, it just requires time, but like it also requires like you actually doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
But then you do it and then it's awesome. And sometimes you fail and it's like, whatever. Like it happens. You can't live with failure, you know? And
when you emailed him and y'all started talking about doing a band, did you have any idea that what y'all were going to do was going to be so ambitious musically?
No,
See?
absolutely not.
I mean,
Absolutely
you
not.
never know what's going to happen.
No, you never know. It's that's why it's like, life is this great big mystery, right? And I think we have a line in Murmur of Voices. I think it goes, one key, infinite doorways. And it's like, that's life, man. That's just it. Like, walk through one and see what happens, and then you walk through another. It's endless. It's like such a beautiful thing. I don't know. It's great to be alive.
I love it, man. I think that's the perfect way to end it. The album comes out on November the 11th. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's $20 spin.
Yep.
I can't wait to tell people about it, and I can't wait for everyone to hear it. Thank you so much for doing this. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, man. Me too. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate yours. It was brilliant to meet you.
Likewise.
Have a good night.
You too, man.